I didn't even know about it until the article launched. So that happened in end of January. My dad had come in and showed me this article, like, do you know you're in this? I had no idea what it was. And then about 10 minutes later, FedEx arrived with this huge congratulatory package from Yelp, saying that we were number 61 on their top 100 places to eat into 2023. Literally next day, just line out the door, phone nonstop calling. And we literally had to shut down 2 or 3 times a day just because we could not keep up with demand.
Welcome to the My SGV podcast. Our mission is to capture and share the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. We believe our diversity is what makes the SGV great. And no matter where you're from in the San Gabriel Valley, you will feel welcome.
All right, SGVers, welcome back to another episode of the My SGV podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spending your time with us. We do appreciate it. If you are new here, we capture and share the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. And if you are a returning listener, thank you for coming back. We're excited to bring you another guest from right here in the Valley. Well, Scott, actually, we didn't pregame to what we're going to talk about, but food is pretty easy for us, right? I mean,
yeah, food's always a good one. I thought you might also mention your new camera on you.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Tori's going to put that in the beginning like that I'm talking or not, but yeah, I do have a camera on me now.
Yeah, which is new. Which maybe a lot of people knew what you looked like, but I remember when I was a kid and I always had listened to the radio. I never knew what the disc jockeys looked like. You know, you hear them, you don't know what they look like. Then it's always a big shock when you see them.
I think you did develop like an image of what they look like, right? And then, then it's a little bit different.
You create them in your own mind, and then they never look like that.
Yeah. Well, who's Rick Dees? Do you remember Rick Dees?
Yeah.
So I hadn't seen. I only heard the voice, heard the name for a long time, and then when I saw him, I was like, okay, yeah, you don't look anything like it.
Yeah. He was on TV also.
Was he?
At some point? Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
You know who also is quite a shocker is do you remember Theo Mizuhara? I think that's his last name. Anyway, he was a Japanese disc jockey, but he had this like super low booming voice.
Oh yeah.
And no one would ever picture him anyway.
Oh yeah. He wasn't like a big, you maybe pictured him as a big strong guy.
Definitely not Japanese. They didn't think that he was Japanese.
Oh.
Yeah. So but anyway, so back to the show, and the connection is has to do with food, right? With our guest today, and the San Gabriel Valley is well known for a lot of food and a lot of amazing food, a lot of ethnic food. But one thing is I don't think you can survive here if you're not really good.
Oh yeah,
right. Like mediocre, right. Like you're not going to make it.
Yeah,
and even if you're new, it's tough to stand out, I think.
I would think so. Yeah, very competitive. Yes.
And then those places that have been around for 30, 40 years, you know that they're doing something right.
Yeah. And also remembering that that's probably one of the most competitive businesses, that there is a restaurant.
Sure.
Try to make it for 1 year or 2 years is difficult.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of restaurants, amazing restaurants in the San Gabriel Valley. If you are looking for restaurants or other things to do in the San Gabriel Valley, don't forget to check out San Gabriel Valley Now, your source for city news, announcements, events, special savings, and everything SGV. Check them out on Instagram, sgv.now, and read their SGV Now magazine on their website, sgvnow.com. Well, before we get to our guest, who has a restaurant, a successful restaurant here in San Gabriel, I'd like to thank Paris Baguette. They sponsor the little goodies, pastries for our guests. Thank you, Paris Baguette San Gabriel, for donating those to the show. We do appreciate it. And it's every week it's a challenge to not eat them all. So, well, that brings us to our guest today. His name is Ryan Lopez. He's the owner of Lord Empanada in Monrovia, California. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're excited. I'm excited. I love food. I love empanadas. So I guess it's in the name, right? You do empanadas.
Right. So we started off as just a little pop-up during the pandemic doing empanadas. I grew up on the traditional beef Argentina empanada that my grandma and my father born and raised in Argentina. And so that's what I grew up on, even though I was born and raised here in Monrovia in the San Gabriel Valley area. And when I've always been in the restaurant hospitality industry, but when the pandemic happened, I lost my job. I was running a club up in San Francisco, had to move back down to Monrovia and created the concept Lord Empanada just to keep it very simple, something I knew, because you can see how everything was changing after the pandemic hit. And created the brand and just started off with a few different types of empanadas, and fortunately it took off from there.
Awesome. You sort of tied in there an answer to a question that I didn't even get to ask, but your connection to the San Gabriel Valley is you were born in Monrovia, grew up in Monrovia, is that right?
Yep.
But your parents are from Argentina?
My dad was born and raised in Argentina. He came over here when he was a teenager to LA, and then that's where they grew up. My mom was actually born and raised in Hawaii, and she moved to LA in her younger teenager years. And so they met completely random. When she was working as a TA at USC, and he was an undercover cop for LAPD. So they've been LA natives for a while now, and then I was born and raised here.
Wow. Is your father German?
No, he's 100% Argentine.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no, I know there's a lot of Germans after, during the war, kind of try to hide over in Argentina, but he's 100% Argentine.
I'm sorry, I only asked only because I can't, if I were to look at you, I couldn't make out what you are.
Oh yeah, no, I'm of my blood. So there's a lot going on. Again, from my mom being Hawaiian and then also Spanish, and then again, 50% Argentine for sure though.
Oh, okay. And what was it like growing up in Monrovia? Is that where you grew up?
That's where I grew up, yeah. I mean, it was great. Monrovia is an amazing, wonderful community-driven town. I love being part of that community. Again, even last night during Halloween, it's a very community-involved city, with Old Town Monrovia being just the center and epitome of what a city should be, where you have all the restaurants, everyone's supporting each other, they're throwing events for the community and the kids. It's just a really amazing town to be a part of.
When you were growing up in Monrovia, I mean, you're pretty mixed, right? Mm-hmm. Did you know that you were mixed? Because are there a lot of mixed people in Monrovia?
Not really. And again, I went to Barnhart's, which is in Arcadia, and that's a very mixed, diverse group of kids. And then I went to St. Francis High School, which is in La Cañada, and so I've always went to mixed, culturally diverse schools. So it wasn't that difficult of a transition. I was always involved with sports or other extracurriculars. So I was never an outcast or a minority. I ever felt like that anyway. I just kind of blended in with everybody. And again, that was a privilege that I had, was growing up that way, where I felt like I was on the outside looking in, and always being part of the community.
I see. And St. Francis, for those who may not know, is a private Catholic school in the area.
It's an all-boys school, yeah.
It's an all-boys school. And when did you start playing around with cooking?
Okay, my parents have owned restaurants since when I was a little kid. They've always had little mom and pop shops. And so I was just kind of always in that environment where my dad was barbecued at home, being hardcore Argentine. He was, cooking choripan, which is Argentine chorizo, or castillos, which is like Argentine short ribs. So I was always in that environment of just home-cooked meals, learning how to cook from my dad. My mom would cook other items, whether it be, roast con pollo or just simple breakfast items. And I always enjoyed doing those things with them. And it kind of just became just part of me as I was growing up, working in the industry, starting as a dishwasher at those restaurants, and a busser, server. I was a director of operations for LAX in Terminal 2, running the restaurants in that area. So I've always been involved in that industry, whether it's behind the kitchen, starting from the bottom, or just overall operations.
Yeah, you've got quite a background. Yeah. So I wanted to kind of track. So you went to St. Francis High School. Did you then go to college?
Yeah, I went to the University of Arizona, and then moved down to San Diego afterwards, where I worked at various restaurants, from Michelin Star to La Jolla Country Club, and also a very it's not there anymore, it's called Stingery, but it was like a high-end nightclub. So I worked all the different types when I would move down there. Didn't know what I was going to really do down there, but I wanted to be involved in the industry. But we're working all those different specific restaurants kind of really just rounded my experience of the type of clientele you're going to work with, or the type of food, or how the operations of a kitchen should be run, whether it's, again, Michelin star restaurant, it's everything is, it's called mise en place, like in its place. And it's just, and that's when the whole like celebrity chef boom started happening. I moved down there, it was 2014. Being a chef and being a celebrity chef in these highfalutin restaurants started just absolutely booming, especially in the San Diego area. And so I worked with the best chefs, like Chef Antonio Fiscia, and just working with them and seeing how they organize everything and operate a network really taught me, and I was able to use that experience to learn do what I do now.
When you were at Arizona, were you in a hospitality program?
No, I always felt that was kind of a hands-on type of thing. I never went to learning the industry, learning how to deal with people, learning how to work as a team. Like you can't really be taught that. You have to be hands in and kind of in the grind.
And did you work at restaurants?
I didn't do any. Actually, I didn't work at all there. I just went to school and enjoyed myself. And but when I went to San Diego, that's when I started. Did you go to San Diego for the purpose of looking for a nice restaurant to work at? No, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I wanted just to be
you just wanted to be a bum.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
right.
Beach bum. So it was a good time. I mean, again, we lived right on the beach.
Where'd you live?
Pacific Beach.
Yeah, I used to live Pacific Beach. Yeah.
Right there. I was right across the street from the Catamaran Hotel.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly where that is. You guys are so noisy. Could you guys be quieter?
I had a great time.
The beach, PB is a great place, isn't it? It's just.
I wouldn't go there to live there now because, like you said, during that time I was younger and it was that was acceptable and that's what I would enjoy doing.
You could drink and yell and scream.
Right, and then you go back to work like nothing happened the night before, and now that's the recovery time is a lot longer.
Yeah, I understand. But yeah, that's just a great place, Pacific Beach. And then, so you hung around there and you worked in restaurants around PB or?
So it was called Stingery. It was actually bought out by the Omni and turned into a club. I worked for the A.R. Valentine, which was the Michelin star restaurant, which is in a hotel called the Torrey Pines Lodge. And where the Torrey Pines golf course is. And that whole program was absolutely just top of the line. That's where a lot of if you're going there, you're going to learn a lot of just proper service, proper dining, proper etiquette. Their program and teaching just the way you bus a table, serving a table, or just even communicating with the guests is kind of, it's a privilege to be able to be in the program, but learn that as well and be able to use that knowledge and take it with me wherever I go.
And you worked at La Jolla Country Club.
At La Jolla Country Club as well. So it was a different type of status where, it was a membership. But I saw people like Philip Rivers was always there with his family. And I mean, these are major, major players in the San Diego community.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to be around that and you're serving these guests. But it's crazy to be a part of just how much money is going into that and what they're getting in this top of the line service that you're providing. But if you enjoy being in that environment, it's a wonderful learning experience.
How long were you in San Diego?
3 years.
Then what did you do?
So I moved back and then opened up my first restaurant. I was actually working in Sierra Madre. It was called T-Boils. And they ended up just wanting to just consolidate just the one location because that was two locations.
Yeah, there's one in Pasadena.
Correct.
Is that one still open?
It's still there. Yeah. Oh yeah. They just got a liquor license. They're booming right now. And but then again, when I took over, it's because they wanted to consolidate just the one, and I got it at a fairly really good price. And I was young. I was 26 at the time. So with the knowledge I took, with my also with the knowledge my parents had, I was able to open the Pepper Tree Grill. So I had that for nearly 4 years. It was right there on Sierra Madre Boulevard in Lima. It's Nano's Cafe now.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had about 4 years, and for maybe 26, and you're having 10 from going.
And that was your own place.
That was my own place. Yeah.
And you had nightlife there. night.
Correct, yeah. I had music on the weekends.
Music.
Yeah, had live entertainment.
Because they still have it, the Nano Cafe. They still have
they do.
I don't know if they're still open evenings at Nano.
They are. They got the full liquor license. So I had that when I was there too. So they utilize that a lot.
Oh yeah, I know the sisters there at the Nano Cafe.
Jackie and Yeah, they no longer own the one that's on Doherty, I think.
Right, they sold that
Yeah.
one, yeah, and then just focused on.
And that concept, that cafe concept, I mean, they have great food. That's perfect for Sierra Madre. Sierra Madre,
Yeah.
it's a 4 square mile town,
Nice
sleepy
little
town.
family
And so
environment.
being 26 and, running, having the full bar, what I wanted was a little different that Sierra Madre, I couldn't really do in Sierra Madre. Again,
Yours was more of an evening
correct.
place, and then they took it over. They're more of a breakfast restaurant.
Yeah.
And okay, so you built that Pepper Tree,
Right.
And then up until what, about 2017?
I think I was gone by end of 2016. So we had like 2012, 2016 of September, and then took a little break, which was nice. And again, as an owner, you're just there nonstop. It's just a constant. It's just on your mind 24/7. So I took a little break. I moved down to Hermosa Beach, where I then took the director of the operations job at LAX, and I was overseeing restaurants over there in Terminal 2. And that was corporate. So that was a whole other side that I had not been experienced with or involved in. And that's where I really learned to fine-tune the details of not just management, because I had 120 employees below me, as well as 8 managers, is just learning the fine details of the numbers, where from just you're having so much inventory of liquor, beer, food, and being able to delegate all the different tasks to all your managers and making sure that everything adds up in the end.
Yeah, and I was reading about airport operations recently and how complex it is, because all your food has to go through security.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't just easily restock.
No. Yeah, there's a whole program where, even like on the vendor side, whether it's Shamrock or U.S. Foods, they're going through their own security, where we'll meet them at the loading dock, and you have to check everything off before bringing it back into the restaurant. So the whole process, it's not just it's out the back door, it's far away.
Yeah.
And you're just constantly having people shoveling or grabbing all the equipment and the food or the product from the loading dock and bringing it all the way back between the 3 stores.
You're doing this corporate job at LAX. Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, no, I enjoyed it because I was learning so much more than I would have by myself, like at my own restaurant. I was kind of thrown in. I threw myself into the mix when I purchased that restaurant without having really the knowledge of. Because the biggest eye opener is really managing people. Before that, I just worked with them, and I was great at all the different jobs. I knew how every job should be run, but one thing I didn't do was manage. And that's a whole other can of worms when you're dealing with people that have problems outside of work, or you have people that don't get along at work, and you're thinking that it's on you or that you're doing something wrong. But in reality, it's just people are people, and they have outside issues, they bring it in, or they don't get along with other people, and it's learning how to manage that. And so I was really kind of just thrown out in the deep end, and fortunately I was able to make it work for the 4 years. But it's anyone that's never had a management role of any kind, it's difficult when you're juggling people's emotions and trying to run an operation as well, to make sure that everyone's happy on the floor, as well as that you're not just losing your butt in the business.
I see. So then, where does your journey go from there at LAX? Does it go right up to the pandemic?
From LAX, so I did that for a couple of years, and then moved back. So when I was living in Hermosa, then moved back to Monrovia, and the commute was was awful from LA. Like I was like, nope. So I had to find something closer, and then I ended up working for Tui's. I'm sure you're familiar with Tui's.
Tui's on like the old location.
So they were actually building a new restaurant, and it's on Foothill Boulevard, and originally it was called Tui's Tavern. And so I went there as a general manager and helped with the rebrand, because when people thought Tui's Tavern, they thought it was Tui's, where it's it's an older diner with just diner food, but this was not Tui's at all. It was very elevated, great cocktails, great food. And so when I went in there, I helped with the rebranding of it. So then we changed it from Tui's Tavern to Foothill. And that really kind of separated the confusion of that it really isn't Tui's by any means. It was good to have the name
but it was
behind
the same
Same
family?
owners, yeah, the Malices.
Okay, so
And the old location, I mean, that's iconic for the San Gabriel Valley.
Right.
I don't know how long it's been there, but I was so surprised when they lost that location.
Well, their new location in South Path is beautiful. I'm not sure if you've been there yet. It's
you're talking about the one right next to like where Baskin and Robbins
correct.
and those.
It's right there on South Fair Oaks. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Tanya, the owner, she did a wonderful job, and they just had their 75th or 85th anniversary overall of.
So is it the same management, same ownership, and same food that they had at the iconic location there?
They have a lot of the same original food, and then of course they have add-ons, but it's a little bit more elevated than it was at the old Tui's. I mean, they have a full bar, but I mean they have like a soda station. They have their bittersweet Tui's fudge with their sundaes. So they have a lot of the classics. They have those onion rings that are just absolutely phenomenal. But
Is the location bigger?
Oh yeah, it's
okay,
massive.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, so it takes up that whole corner right there.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like it from the outside. I was wondering.
No, very large. I mean, they're just, every time I go in, they're just packed.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they did effectively move.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Especially with the revamp and the elevate. I think this is what they were looking for when they're trying to do Tui's Tavern. But that was way too different than what original Tui's was. This new Tui's, or their new location, is what they expected to do, is elevate the look, rebrand. But I mean, it's they have all the classics.
They still have the root beer milkshakes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Wow. I imagine that some people may look at Lord Empanada and be like, "Oh, I can make empanadas."
Yeah.
Right? And they're like, "Oh, if I would have just done this at this time, I would have been as successful." But clearly your journey has been, just seasoned with all these different experiences and knowledge from all these different places to do what you do, coming to where you are now. And it's no accident, But I imagine like people who don't get to hear this whole journey of yours, this whole story, they may be like, "Oh, he just got lucky."
Yeah, no. I mean, anybody can do any type of food. There's no doubt about that. But it's also, there's so much more behind it of just execution and team management, branding. And branding was a huge thing when I created it. Like, this is what I wanted to keep the concept as simple as possible. And like we have great empanadas, but we're also known for our chimichurri. So when I was creating the logo, I was just say what we do, be good at just that. Because everyone a lot of people try to do too many of one thing, and then they get lost in the shuffle. And I just wanted to be known for our empanadas and our chimichurri. And of course, with the restaurant, I added on some sandwiches and stuff like that. But
how big is your menu?
I have
pretty
20
limited.
Yeah, I have 20 different empanadas. But the sandwich wise, I have about 8 different sandwiches. From tri-tip to porchetta, the choripan, and then the three dishes. We have a beef stroganoff, a chili verde, and a chicken pesto pasta. We get a lot of reviews on our beef stroganoff. And then we also I have a chef that does all my desserts for me in-house. So we do the flan, the bread pudding, the cheesecake. But there isn't a full-on dinner. Maybe people can come in and dine there, but really all the sales are kind of grab and go. They order huge platters of empanadas, or they do the sandwiches to go. It's kind of, when I first created the concept, there was going to be no dining. It was just going to be order, pick up, and then be on your way. But I had a few tables, and so on the weekends it gets packed in there. So it was a good move, but it kind of swayed just a little bit from the original concept, was just grab and go, pandemic proof, God forbid another one happens. And if anything were to happen, the concept can sustain itself just off of the products that we have.
What is empanada in Argentina? Is it a meal, or is it something that you can eat at any meal, or how is it looked at?
I mean, people eat it as meals, a little late night snack. I mean, a lot of people, there's a huge division of fried or baked. I mean, we fry our empanadas, and a lot of these other empanada shops around town, or you go to Burbank or El Monte, they bake theirs, and then they look, when you bake it, puffs up a little bit, so it looks larger than what it really is, but it's just poofing up the dough, which is the same feeling. So we fry ours, but it's fully packed of meat. So 2 is really a solid meal, especially with a little side salad. But throughout the day, you can just keep nibbling on.
Like, what kind of hours do you keep at your restaurant?
We're open. Open at 9 a.m. and then we close at 7:30.
Okay.
So originally we were open at 7:30 and closing at 7:30, but that was just I didn't have enough. I didn't want to bring on more staff to fill in 2 entire shifts. So I condensed the hours to be able to have just one rotation of staff. Just because at the same time I wasn't trying to have a large labor costs for what we're doing. I didn't need to do that. And so I still have people coming in earlier to prep because everything's handmade. We fold all our empanadas. They're cooked to order. They're not just sitting under a heat lamp. So when it does get busy, there is a long wait. And a lot of people order ahead of time to kind of avoid that. So they can just run and pay and just get out. And then we'll just have it ready for them.
Oh, where are you located exactly?
So we're located in Monrovia, just off of Myrtle. So if you get off Myrtle on the freeway, we're next to a shop called the Wizard of Bras. We're just south of the freeway. And a lot of people recognize the Wizard of Bras.
Yeah, that's always been there, hasn't it?
Before I was born. It used to be a giant bra on the window there.
Yeah.
And we're
okay,
their
right
neighbors.
There. Okay. You do have dine-in. I'm just kind of curious about the experience because it sounds to me like you're trying to focus on like a very small menu, focus on one or few items. You've got 20 empanada varieties and you're not really interested in, it's not really a full service restaurant experience.
No, and that's exactly what I tried to create. And you'll see now a lot of these up and coming places that are either trending or just new concepts are kind of avoiding the full service concept because now it's too costly to have that much labor or people now it's just you just can't rely on everybody to come in and care as much as you do about your product or your service. And good service, great service is tough to come by now. So you're just eliminating that middleman of just giving your great product, having the limited great service interaction you have with the cashier, but also being, as the owner, I'm constantly present in there, making sure they're interacting with the guests. So it's, again, times are changing for sure when it comes to that. And doing a full service restaurant is significantly harder than having just the kind of the quick service concept that we're doing. I mean, ours is still numbers wise trying to survive. That struggle is still there, the same as the full service. But when you add the full service, you're relying a lot on your servers and a team versus having a small team, having a reliable product, and your branding.
Can you replicate this and take it elsewhere?
With the concept, I mean, the way that I would do it versus having a whole other secondary operation would be more of having satellite locations where we have one commissary kitchen, so all the product is the same. So when you see a lot of different locations of the same brand, you don't get the same experience because they're doing different recipes or not cooking it the right way. Where now it's kind of you need to have a commissary kitchen, mass producing it all for all your locations, and that would be the next step. Would do that is actually having a larger kitchen to mass produce the same quality empanadas and then generate the satellite locations or franchise if that's an option.
When did that concept start? Do you know?
Pandemic. I mean, it's kind of always been there, but when the pandemic happened, you saw all these ghost kitchens popping up. You saw people experimenting with, fried chicken pop-ups or smash burgers. And so you kind of see a lot of these same food items with different branding trying to do what everyone's trying to get recognition on Instagram, all these foodies now. The game has kind of changed with these small brands. And you see people like LA Try Guy on Instagram or SGV Eats and all the LA Foodie Man. There's all these Instagram foodie influencers now that they heavily move and sway the food population to these locations where it can change them overnight. And so LA Try Guy, when he did an interview on us on his TikTok and his Instagram, when we exploded overnight over in January, especially after we had the Yelp recognition of being number 61, top 100 places to eat in the country.
Wow,
so
how did that happen?
Completely ran. I didn't even know about it until the day the article launched. So that happened in this year, end of January. They had my dad had come in and showed me this article, you're in this. And I thought it was something that we won a while ago because he normally finds out things way later. And so he showed it to me. I'm like, I had no idea what it was. And then about 10 minutes later, FedEx arrived with this huge congratulatory package from Yelp, saying that we were number 61 on their top 100 places to eat into 2023.
Wow.
And literally next day, just line out the door, phone nonstop calling. And we literally had to shut down 2 or 3 times a day just because we could not keep up with demand. And
Has that kept up?
Oh yeah, it has kept up. So we've been very fortunate.
Wow.
That hasn't swayed. And that's when all the Instagram foodie influencers were starting to pop in. And fortunately, they gave us rave reviews. So it was just it was just kind of an avalanche of business since then. And so we fortunately we were great prior to that, and then literally doubled overnight from the Yelp article, and it stayed that way since then. Unfortunately, again, that's where the importance of keeping your team small but your product and quality high and being able to replicate and produce and be consistent is so important. That's why I don't want to have multiple restaurants or multiple Lord Empanadas. I want to have the one that's constantly consistent. And we've kept that up even on Yelp. We're still at 4.7 rating with 430 reviews, and that's pretty significantly high number in comparison to how everyone just we had a massive influx. So we stayed strong during the influx of people.
Yeah.
And so that was a good sign.
You're shocked.
Well, yeah. I mean, number 61 in the country. And yeah, I'm just wondering, how does that happen? Is it just the number of reviews that you had gotten?
I asked somebody that worked with Yelp. They said they have groups in all these different counties, and they go around. All they do is go around eating and rating at their restaurants, and then somehow they just kind of find detail or funnel the rest of their ratings of the restaurants. It was confusing me how they're telling me. It's like, well, I'm excited you guys chose me, so it's.
So when you open a restaurant, which you did, you have to really be social media savvy in a way that maybe very few industries have to be.
Yeah, it's difficult because I'm not one to just constantly film, or I try my best to do it now, but even so, it's difficult to keep up on that when you're busy at the restaurant.
Do you have to hire a specialist?
People do. I'm as frugal as possible. A lot of people don't have that financing to be able to spend. People are charging $1,000, $2,000 a month to constantly update their social medias, and
so you're just natural. And
again, we've been fortunate with those Instagram foodies coming in here and doing it for us. A lot of them try to message you and say, "Oh, we'll do this for X amount of dollars." I'm not paying anybody to come in here. They want to come in here and do actual review, a legit review, and tell everyone what they honestly feel. That's great. If not, I'm not one to pay to play.
Well, wow.
Because it's a lot. Again, we know you're trying to do $500 to $1,000 for one review, and a lot of these people now they can just pay. They look like they have a lot of followers, but they just pay for that to be able to validate who they are as someone that could influence your business.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of it has we've been very fortunate from, again, the Yelp to me having a solid team behind me. A lot of them most of them have worked with me either at the other restaurant or at another location. So my team has been with me for a very long time.
What was your marketing plan when you did open?
Well, we had a decent following when I did the pop-up. So I started as the pop-up cooking in my parents' kitchen for about a year. And so I would just collaborate with all the local breweries in town on the weekends because under Newsom's law, they needed to be able to have food in order to operate. Without food, they could not operate. And so I would just pop up there, with their permission, of course, and just promote on Instagram through there, and they would re-promote me as well. And then a year later, found my location, and now I have all the beers from every brewery I've ever collaborated with.
Oh, yeah.
I sell them in my store.
Oh, wow.
From Hop Secret to Cerveceria del Pueblo, RT Rogers, literally all the local breweries. So I've been able to give back from all the pop-up people that I met when I was doing my own, and then they helped me get to where I am now. Because again, I had no idea what I was doing when I was first doing the pop-ups. And then, very fortunate that we found the building that was right there. And 2 years, we just had our 2-year anniversary. The party is actually going to be on November 11th, but it's been 2 years already, October 21st.
It's so cool to hear the story, how you came to be, the growth and all of that. Have at any point you had the chance to look back or pause and look at, what you've accomplished and take it all in and say like, wow, this is really cool?
Yeah, I mean, it's still, I try to, when you're working every day, you're with your staff, it's when I had my first year anniversary, I was able to take a step back and really kind of acknowledge like, wow, this is, we've done so much in such a short amount of time. And with literally the same staff for the people that have helped me even before I had the restaurant, they were all there. And it's, now we're coming on 2 years. And then after, just being in the LA Times recently and just kind of reflecting back on how far we've come and how quickly it's all happened. It's kind of surreal that it's gone this far. And again, I'm very, very fortunate and feel very blessed that it's made this far.
Yeah, it's a very condensed and streamlined version of success, really. I mean, you had a few jobs not in college, but after college, and somehow it culminated in this pretty quickly, I mean, almost overnight, 12 years of overnight success.
But you see a lot of the same owners. People probably have interviewed in restaurants or who are doing the same thing I'm doing. It's nonstop. I mean, you're working 12, 14, 16-hour days. And, even though the restaurant's closed on Mondays, and it gives me massive peace of mind that we don't have to deal with, the restaurant business on that day, you're still doing admin or you're catching up on social media or emails that haven't been read in about a week. But it's if you're in the industry, born and raised in it, or just getting started, you have to give it your all or you're never going to make it anywhere.
That's great advice. Yeah. Ryan, we ask each guest to bring an item of significance with them. What did you bring with you today?
So I brought I'm a huge Fernet fan, which Fernet's like an aperitif spirit. And so they have for a lot of special occasions, they do challenge coins. And so I created my own challenge coin, but this was to commemorate my 1-year anniversary. And so it's a very custom-made metal heavy challenge coin that I gave out for the 1-year anniversary. It also serves a dual purpose because on the back we had our annual Empanadas for Tatas fundraiser, which we all the proceeds for during the month we gave back to the City of Hope Women's Center. And so it just has a dual special meaning for me, especially just because it also ties in the challenge coin for Fernet. But again, this was a big 1-year marker. And again, being able to reflect back on how quickly.
How many of them did you give out?
I think we made about 50. So we ran out pretty quick. So I kept a few for myself and my family. I was fortunate, I think I had one, and I had it in my backpack.
It's a beautiful coin. It's like maybe 2-inch in diameter, and it
so I'm
looks
very
iridescent
picky
on the edges.
Yeah, we had it kind of like a neon. So our colors are neon. They kind of pop like a Vice, like a Miami Vice type vibe. And so I'd like to stick with that type of branding is that. But yeah, this will forever commemorate again the 1 year and how far we've come from literally cooking out in my parents' kitchen to where we are now.
That's awesome. Thank you for bringing that. Thank you for sharing that. Well, Ryan, I want to get into what else you have in store for Lord Empanada in the future, but let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Yep.
At WarmuthLaw, they believe that just because you speak a foreign language, come from a different culture, or simply don't know how to navigate the legal system, that should not prevent you from compensation from injury or receiving benefits. Their multicultural staff have been helping SGVers like you for over 38 years. Visit law888.com or call them at 626-784-7017 and tell them you heard about them on this podcast.
All right, we're back with Ryan from Lord Empanada. Ryan, when we come back from the break, we like to play a little game where we ask a question from this card deck. It's called Icebreakers. And there's just a little fun engagement. You can choose to answer it or not. So here we go. Question is, what stereotype do you completely live up to? I don't even know. Well, okay, I'll start out. I guess I'm good at math. I've been good at math, but yeah, and I'm probably not the best driver too. So
I guess since I'm a mutt, I'll just stick with the Argentine stereotype. Is we're very machismo, and we think that anything that our family does or our pride does is going to be the best. So I'm biased towards my own empanadas that our Argentine empanadas and our chimichurri is the best empanadas and chimichurri.
Okay, awesome. What about you, Scott?
I don't know what stereotype I easily fall into. I mean, I'm a white person. What's a stereotype? Could be anything, right?
Well, I think I've only met one other Argentinian person here in the San Gabriel Valley.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my friend's wife, Michael's wife.
Oh.
Yeah. So is it a stereotype that Argentinians love beef?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, from the short rib to Argentine chorizos to anything and everything, all beef. But they also love, their sangria and taking siestas.
One thing I remember about Argentinians, I've known quite a few I've studied with. They're very fierce in actually maybe even claiming they're European, almost like they think of themselves as a European country.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too familiar with that since I didn't grow up in Argentina, so I wouldn't know that.
Right.
I guess that feeling,
part of it,
part of it of wanting being European, or because there are a lot of fair-skinned Argentinians out there because of the Germans when they came over, but how they want to be perceived, that I'm not too familiar with in that aspect.
Are empanadas, maybe this question was asked earlier, but are empanadas from Argentina? I mean, don't other cultures
Lots
claim it?
of, tons of, every country it seems like has their own version of empanadas, whether they do like even, Chilean or Brazilian. They have, there's so many different flavors. Even with beef, they do sweet beef ones or more spicy beef. It kind of really depends on the region of where they're at, but it seems now every country has their own. Even Mexico has empanadas. So where their origination came from, just because I'm Argentine, stereotype, I'll say it started in Argentina.
Well, before we move on, what stereotype do you completely live up to? Let us know in the comments, and we'll read it on a future episode. Well, Ryan, your empanadas are definitely popular in the San Gabriel Valley, and I want to give you a chance to talk about more about your food and the direction where you see Lord Empanada going in the future. I know you said opening up a commissary and sort of having that quality control there. What else do you see in store for your brand and your restaurant?
We sell a lot of our chimichurri. It's like an olive oil based sauce with parsley, chili flakes, garlic. So that's really kind of the next big move, is getting the chimichurri bottled and mass produced to be able to sell in stores. And that's a whole other ball game, with proper bottling, labeling, to be able to sell it to Trader Joe's, Sprouts, or Bristol's. There's so many different hoops you have to go through before actually getting in, and then there's a whole other game whether you're marketing with them, and so the profit margin is significantly reduced after all these hoops you get through to finally be in there. But if you're mass producing 1 million jars a year, it all adds up. But that's really the main focus, is getting the chimichurri in the stores.
Awesome. Well, let's shift the focus to your actual empanadas. So 20 different empanadas. What's the number one most popular?
The original beef. Yeah.
Original beef.
Yeah,
and that's what people have with the chimichurri?
Correct. Well, they all go with the chimichurri, but the beef one is like the most traditional Argentine empanada that we have, with the raisin, the hard-boiled egg, the diced olive, and potato. The rest are kind of, I guess, hybrid or fusion. So even before, outside of the beef one, our spinach and cheese and the spicy black bean empanada are one of the top sellers that we have next to the beef one. When I first experimented with those two flavors, my dad and grandma just hardcore did not want to try it. Like it was taboo to have anything other than the beef ones. And then now it's the spinach and cheese one specifically is like one of my dad's favorites. But we're not just, there isn't, we got a lot of heat from purists or people that are just very traditional in anything they do. And you can't be traditional, or just, you have to really kind of adventure out and experiment be outside the box to be able to, again, gain traction like we did. So we have a pizza one, we have a mushroom and swish, and we experimented with other like Mexican flavors like spicy asada and al pastor empanadas, but the traditional beef stands strong as the number one top seller that we have.
And I see you have some dessert ones too, right?
Right. So the chef that makes all my flan and bread pudding, he also does our apple pie filling. We do a cheesecake one and a Nutella banana. So we just stuff his dessert in our dough and deep fry it. And then either put, cinnamon, sugar. And then our Nutella one, we actually use Tui's bittersweet fudge to put on top of our Nutella one, yeah. So with Tui's, I've always remained close friends with Tanya and the Malices. And again, just kind of help promote, not that they need it, but, just always doing collaboration one way or another and promoting them on IG or in-house.
Well, you said 2 is a meal, though. I feel like I would eat, maybe 6.
Well, I mean, they're pretty hearty, and people, again, 2 or 3 is a lot, and again, because they're stuffed. It's not just puffed up and a little bit of filling and no dough. I mean, they're very, very packed, and again, people order by the dozens because they have them to just eat one throughout the day, and before you know it, you're
I could use a 6-pack right now, boy.
Yeah, we also have breakfast ones as well, so we got a lot of breakfast orders. We have with egg, cheese, potato with either bacon, chorizo, ham, or sausage. It comes with our hot sauce.
Wow.
So,
you must have people ordering. Like when do you? People must be ordering and then picking up really early for.
Yeah, so they'll call ahead or they'll order the day before, so we have it ready right at 9. And again, we've gained that reputation because we have our parking is very difficult. Even though we have a giant parking lot right across the street, but again, it's just difficult, especially if you're in a rush. It's hard to park, come across the street, and grab it. So a lot of people just order, park right in the middle really quick, run in, run out, and it's convenient. We're trying to make it as convenient as possible for what they're getting.
Awesome. Oh, I'm really hungry. Don't you want to?
Oh yeah. Like I say, a 6-pack would be great.
Well, Ryan, we're going to move on to the final segment of our show where we get to learn a little bit more about you and what you like in the San Gabriel Valley.
Ryan, this is our SGV3 discussion. What are some of your favorite places or things to do?
Well, actually, 2 of them are staples, and one of them I actually just spoke with is Tui's.
Oh,
I've always went to their old location back in the day, and then was fortunate to work with their family, and then their new location over in South Pass, just absolutely phenomenal. So I love the Tui's. The second one is Mijares, which is a staple in Pasadena as well. It's on Pasadena Ave, like right before the freeway. So right before you get on the freeway, I believe it's Pasadena Avenue.
Near which entrance to the?
You're gonna get on like the.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Mijares is it's right in Pasadena.
Correct.
Yeah, I know. It's
I can't remember. It's like on the entrance of where you can go on the 210 or you can go on the 134.
Yeah.
When you're going north on Pasadena Ave.
Oh yes, right. Oh yeah, that's a nice place. That's
like really old Mexican restaurant.
Yeah,
right?
they just had like their 101 year anniversary, and the family and the owners, he's absolutely amazing. And but again, and I always do their Christmas toy drive in December, so that'll be coming up soon. And but they're just a staple community-driven restaurant that's been there again for a century now.
Were you thinking? Was there did they have a second location like up the hill on?
No, it's just literally just the one. Yeah, no, Mijares and the owner Tommy, just phenomenal Mexican food and just phenomenal establishments. And again, they're a very community-driven restaurant that are a staple to Pasadena.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then a third, stick with restaurants. That's all I do is go bounce around between restaurants and different breweries. But it would be Hop Secret Brewery in Monrovia. They're just amazing beer. They're Chris and Kai are the owners. They're just phenomenal owners and just people to be around. And they're a young team, but they're just got into Trader Joe's, and they're gonna be one of the top breweries for sure.
Can you say the name again?
Hop Secrets.
Hop Secrets.
Yeah.
In Monrovia.
In Monrovia.
Their brewery is in Monrovia.
Correct. Yeah. So it's actually right across the street from where my restaurant is. It's kind of like a more of an industrial location, but it's a wonderful, what they're doing with their branding is they're going to be on the up and up.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come here today and share your story with our audience. We really appreciate it. For those who don't know, I guess, how to use the internet or find you, what's the best way to get a hold of you and check out some of your food?
Either Instagram, which is Lord Empanada LA, or on our website, lordempanada.com.
And the location of your restaurant one more time?
It's in Monrovia. It's on 1540 South Myrtle. It's literally get off the Myrtle off-ramp, and we're just south of the freeway right there with the big empanada in the sky and the billboard.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, congratulations on your success. It definitely doesn't, it wasn't a stroke of luck. It seems like you've, really put in the work and chosen to learn a lot about this industry, and you've made it with an amazing product. Congratulations on the accolades from Yelp and from the LA Times. It definitely sounds like you deserve it.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you so much for having me on the show. And again, it was a pleasure speaking with you both.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. Another episode in the books for you. It's kind of weird. I have to remember that I'm on camera now, and I can just look off into space. But it's always fun to bring you stories, restaurants especially. But you get to know the real story and the person behind the brand and the foods that you enjoy here in the San Gabriel Valley. I really like that. I like to see the pieces that a person experiences that you can see how their life and sort of culminated in this path. And you can definitely see that with Ryan, that he's been involved in food in many ways and learning his craft over the years. And this is just not a stroke of luck. So go check out the restaurant Lord Empanada in Monrovia, just south of the freeway on Myrtle. We hope you check them out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can check out our full catalog of episodes on our website, mysgv.net. And until next week, we'll see you then.
Thank you for joining us on the My SGV podcast. Check out more of our content on our website, mysgv.net. This show was produced by Russell Mono and edited by Victoria Allers of Kind Monster Productions. If you'd like to join us next week as we capture and share more stories from our diverse community, feel welcome.
Nice mother. No, kind mother.